At least 10 houses were gutted in a fire at St. Francis Bay in the Eastern Cape earlier this week. Photographer Chris Scott says when he got there, it looked like a war zone. He captured some of the images from that scene. Scott joins us live now from our Cape Town studio. Good morning to you, Chris. So you have described in a Facebook post, I believe it was, just how when you arrived there, it wasn't just homes that were burnt, but people's dreams.
Hi, yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, when I got there, a number of houses had already burnt down. The rescue services, fire services, they were doing what they could to try and stop further houses burning. As I say, when I got there, the roads were they were covered. Fire department, the locals of St. Francis Bay, the holiday makers of St. Francis Bay, everyone was just diving in. They were trying to clear brush. They were trying to empty houses that were at risk of burning. There were people that had climbed on top of house roofs. They were dousing the thatch. And it was just a lot of people running around trying to do what they could to help. It's flashing lights. It really looked like something bad was happening, and it was. Afterwards, when I'd walked around and walked down the streets where the houses had burnt, it was just absolute ruin. And like I said, there's dreams burnt, shattered. When you look at the houses and you can imagine what people have put into their homes, and all that's left is a shell, So it was sad to see, but there was a lighter side, and that was the community had pulled together to help protect the rest of the houses that were at risk. So yeah, it was sad and unfortunate at any time of the year. And obviously, right just before Christmas, it must be really, really hard for those people who have lost their homes.
And with all those mixed emotions, how do you as a photographer go about deciding what you're going to capture?
It's difficult. You get there, when I got there, from a previous fire experience, I decided to try and capture the story of the rescue services. On the first fire that I captured, there was a very real threat then of the fire jumping over into the town of St. Francis and Cape St. Francis. But eventually that had been controlled and they'd stopped it. This time round, before I left, I'd heard that there were already houses burning. So when I got there, it was a choice. Do I just take pictures of the houses burning? And when I got there, it changed. When I saw the people that were running around, it really just changed the focus of the story. You always hear about fires. You always hear about the rescue services and what they have to go through. But very seldom do you hear what the local people actually go through, what they do, how it affects them. And that's what I tried to capture, what the people did, how they pulled together. And then afterwards, walking around what was left, the emotion does catch up, and you realize the effect of it that it could have on these people. I saw people crying. I didn't want to photograph that. I think it was too personal for me. But there's a lot of emotion. And to try and put it into perspective, it wasn't easy. And so I just took pictures, and I picked what I could, and that was it.
And this wasn't the first fire that occurred, as you say, in this area that you were able to capture. What do you do then with all these images taken, 2 years ago almost, and the ones taken this week? Is there an exhibition in the works, or do you just keep them for yourself?
When I took them, because on the first fire that I covered, I decided to try and find a story with the people and the rescue services. I decided to publish it on Facebook and social media so that everyone could see, what people can do when they come together. You saw that there was the chap from the helicopter from working on fire. He had flown over his hours, but he continued. The fire was lapping on the road across from Sea Vista, and at the time he was the only one there. So I wanted to share that with everyone so everyone could see what these guys have to go through, the hours they go through. And then with this fire now, it was, on the first fire there was the threat of the town burning. And on this one it did. It got in and it got to the houses, and that was a very different story. And it's somehow, sometimes you feel that you don't want to share the misery and the sadness of it, but at the same time, it goes sort of in parcel with what the community did to save the houses that they did. Houses were burnt, houses were also saved, and that needs to be shared and shown as well, what people do, what they can do when they come together.
You were clearly quite moved by what you saw there in St. Francis Bay this week. And it's a life-changing experience, I'd imagine, to lose a property with all your memories and all your belongings. What has that done to you? What has changed for you, just overall, going forward in life?
I think it just made me realize what's important to you. It makes you realize what is important. It's obviously your home and your memories are built in it, but they can get rebuilt. But family and friends and people obviously is most important. I was happy to see that there was no deaths in these circumstances. It can happen. No serious injuries as far as I know. And yeah, it's memories. The memories will always be there. You can't lose them, but where you've had them, maybe that's gone. But they can be rebuilt. And for me, it showed me that the people could have sat back and just watched, but they jumped in to help. And that was it for me. It was the strength of the human spirit and building again afterwards. And yeah, to me, it was a lesson.
And lastly, I don't know how well you relate to the people in the community there. Do you know any of them personally? Have you been in contact with any of them since the fire? And if so, how are they holding up?
I used to work in the town, so there's a number of people that I know that were involved a lot. Since the fire, I haven't really spoken to the people that were affected. I'm not a reporter, so I don't want to go running in there and get more information. I just kind of figured that they need a bit of space. It's just before Christmas. They've been planning the holidays for months now, renovations, new homes, and I didn't want to get too close to them afterwards. I think they needed their space. But yeah, I definitely knew a few of them and met some new people as well. But yeah, the people of St. Francis, great crowd. It was great to see them pull together.
Chris Scott, thank you for your time. That was Chris Scott, a photographer who captured some images from those fires in St. Francis Bay.